JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.
Ravens Wrap is sponsored by Bud Light, jctickets.net, Geico Insurance, Dunaway Furniture, Ocean City Golf Club, RussellStreetReport.com, Comfort Inn Gold Coast, Holiday Inn Express, BuyAToyota.com, your official site for Toyota deals, The Original Green Turtle, hosted by the Blue Ox Bar and Grill.
Welcome back in. It is the original Green Turtles Ravens Wrap Show on Comcast Beach TV, and now this season also on TV on ABC Channel 47 WNDT, in which we're extremely happy to be a part of broadening our reach across the Delmarva Peninsula. Also back for our 7th year on Delmarva's Rock Radio and the strongest signal Ravens affiliate on the peninsula, the Rock Station 93.5 The Beach, coming to you from the infamous Ravens Room of the Blue Ox Bar and Grill, 127th Street and Coastal Highway in Ocean City. It's Cruising Week. We've got Ravens 44 and Ravens fans all across the peninsula. On our set, or I should say, in the audience today. We're on the set, of course, and we appreciate everybody coming out, and we want to see you come down to the show. Ravens tickets, giveaways. We've got Bud Light prize packages, hotel stays as well, and a great Ravens room, food and drink specials. Doors open at 5. The show starts at 7, so come on down and make an early weekend of it. How about that? Especially, holidays are coming. You can get a little shopping in there. All right, coming up, the Ravens on the road to Tampa Bay once again this week after being on the road last week. Sunday, 1 o'clock kickoff at Tampa Bay against the Buccaneers. Network pregame at 12:30 on 93.5 The Beach. Our program airs every Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. All right, I'm Mike Browning from 105.7 The Fan and 92.7 WGNB. Bart Talbert, former Salisbury University defensive back and now current military professor with us, and Steve Slaza, former coach and Ravensers 44 member. Guys, we were talking off air about the fact that early in the season, weeks 1, 2, 3, 4, maybe even count 5, is almost an extension of the preseason and training camp because of the limited amount of hitting and practice that the teams do. Tackling, for instance, suffers, and some other things suffer as well because guys don't play a whole lot, starters don't play a whole lot in preseason games anyway. So they're just starting to hit their stride, I guess, now, say week 6, right, Bart?
Yeah, and I think it's technique, like you say, the hitting, but it's also assignments because 3 or 4 new people coming in each play, changing the play at the line of scrimmage. It's a tremendous amount of understanding that you have to have, and then you can walk through it and you can talk about it on a PowerPoint, but then go out there when 80,000 people are screaming for your head, or it's a lot different for them. So it takes them time, and that's why I was saying during the break that ownership, GM, coaching, quarterback, if that's all good and done it in the past, expect that to keep happening. Now it may not because the players are so young. There's so much turnover in the league now. The average
30% on average each year.
Yeah, and the average career now is like 2.5 years, and it used to be 20 years ago. I heard it was like 5 or 4.5, and I thought that was short. And I said, yeah, right. A lot of guys coming in and out on special teams, but now especially you've got starters out there that are 2nd and 3rd year men, stars that you would have never had that before. So I think that it's much tougher, especially with the level of sophistication that you have to have. And the organizations that are strong, like the Ravens, that have good ownership, GM, coach, all the way down, good quarterback in Flacco, I think we'll be fine. I hope we'll be fine.
But that's why when you look at like a Eugene Monroe going down and James Hurst comes in and you're talking about down on the goal line, okay, he's dealing with a stunt he's never seen before where the defensive end comes out and the strong safety loops around, and he basically broke his leg in a bowl game last year. So, you have these guys coming in and you just don't have the ability to carry quality backups. I mean, he's a good player and he's going to be good, but when you throw him in the fire,
he's undrafted though.
Exactly. You throw him in right now, and last week he did fine, but this week he got thrown to the Lions.
Yeah, that's a good point, and lack of reps too, because Monroe was getting all the first team reps, so he's getting his feet under him. That's a great point. All right, let's take a look at some stats. Upcoming game against Tampa Bay. The Buccaneers, 30th in the league in total offense, 30th in total defense. We talked about having 17 less minutes of possession last week in the game against Indianapolis. Tampa Bay's average time of possession, 26 minutes and 5 seconds. That's the league's worst, and they're really struggling in the running game. Doug Martin and former Raven Bobby Rainey out of Western Kentucky are the two running backs, but the time of possession, when you're not getting it done and not able to get first downs and convert third downs, that's what happens. For the Ravens, 6 3/4, that's the average pass per attempt by Joe Flacco. That went down from last week. And, West Coast offense, it's more yards after the catch, so that's as much on on the receivers as Joe Flacco, in my opinion. But you want to see some big plays down the field. We didn't have that against Indianapolis. Levante David leads the league with 10 tackles for loss from Tampa Bay. He's a former Nebraska guy. He was a stud there, if you remember him in college. And a little over 5 yards a carry. That's what the Ravens running backs are doing. So that bodes well. Bart, I'll start with you as we go into this game. Tampa Bay team that's struggling, but you take a look, though, at their front line. Adrian Claiborne, Gerald McCoy, Hakeem Spence. 3 of those guys, you've got Claiborne and McCoy first-round draft picks. Hakeem Spence, a fourth-round pick. Michael Johnson, former Cincinnati Bengal, who we know out of free agency. Levante David, a second-round pick. And strong safety Mark Barron from Alabama, a first-round pick. So you've got 3 first-round picks and a couple of middle-round picks on that defense. You've got some guys there. You got some talent there, so you can't take them for granted.
I think Flacco, connected to what we were just talking about, timing. I think when Flacco gets used to his new core, like we say, we're losing Ray Rice, you bring in Steve Smith, and I don't think we saw the beginning of the season Steve Smith being such a key part of the offense. I don't think people weren't sure what he was going to do. And he comes in and he kind of takes that leadership role. So I think that's different. So where's Torrey Smith? What's he do now? What do the running backs do? And you're talking about West Coast offense. That's a lot of different checkdowns, a lot of different moves. I just think Flacco, once he gets used to all those changes that it takes and the momentum and the cohesion and to keep the defense on their heels, I think we'll be fine. Because no matter how good they are, if we're executing, I think that we go down the field on them no matter what.
And Steve, for the most part, outside of the first half of that Cincy game, they had executed pretty well up until the game last week.
Well, I thought that going into the season, that the way the schedule was, if we can get by the first couple of weeks, the offense was going to improve in each week and move on. And I like the way Flacco looks in the offense. Hopefully this was just a bump in the road. He just seemed like he was off. And it's tough for him, with a quarterback making inside a dome where you're not really able to change it up. I think it's a very tough field for him to play on.
Tampa Bay's 1-4. They lost to Carolina 20-14 week 1, 19-17 to St. Louis in week 2. They lost to Atlanta on the road 56-14. They defeated Pittsburgh. First time ever on the road at Pittsburgh that they won 27-24. They had to come back in that game. And then they had a lead against New Orleans but gave up, I believe, 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter and lost in overtime 37-31. And so that's a team that's looking to get back on track, that has to be frustrated with the way this year has started out under new head coach Lovie Smith, formerly with the Bears. And again, he's got some talent on that defense. We just talked about the high draft picks, but 30th in offense, 30th in defense. And maybe, Bart, you could say if the time of possession isn't great for the offense, or at least good, that maybe the defense is being left out there too long. Yeah,
and I'm scared of Glennon. Big, throws over the defense, throws off his back foot well, and to me, he's a gamer. A lot of times you look in a quarterback's face and they say he's going to be this, he's going to be that, and I'm looking and I don't see a Brett Favre look in his eye. I don't see a Joe Montana look. Something about Glennon that I think that other people on that team will pick up on too. So unless we get control of that game early, it might be trouble, because I sense that kid is a killer. He's a no-quit and going to bring him back no matter what. I hope that doesn't happen, but I have a lot of faith in him.
Well, Mike Glennon had some success last year. Now, Josh McCown was brought in from the Bears, hurt his thumb. Glennon's gotten the starts the last couple of weeks. He's got a strong arm, as Bart talked about. Centerville, Virginia kid. I'm actually told his mom lives in Ocean Pines. I don't know if that's true or not. But Vincent Jackson, we're no stranger to Vincent Jackson. He had a big game against New Orleans last week. That's going to be the matchup, I would assume, for Jimmy Smith.
And they've got Bobby Rainey as running back. This team, and especially in this league, if we've learned one thing, anybody can beat anybody in this league. And for us to overlook them, I think would be quite presumptive, especially coming off the loss that we had. We've got to go in there, we've got to play, and we don't play well on the road, so we're not in a position
we didn't last
to
year.
overlook.
We didn't last year.
So
yeah, I mean, we were 2-6 last year, but before that, we have been a pretty good road team. But you know what? It's a year-to-year situation too, though. You different personnel, so you don't know. But I think that Cleveland win was certainly helpful. And even though they didn't play their best last week, guys, they were still in that game at the end. So I think that bodes well for going to Tampa. But you're right. Anytime you go on the road, it's tough. Steve, I'll start back with you. Bobby Rainey is a guy we got at Western Kentucky, I think undrafted, I believe. But Jack Harbaugh, coach of Western Kentucky, John's dad, had long-time success there. I hated to lose him. He went to Cleveland and ended up in Tampa Bay. That kid has some speed, and he can be elusive too. We got to watch out for him.
Well, the good thing is in Tampa Bay, I would have really hated to see him go to Cleveland. But, to end up in Tampa Bay, but, he's a nice little scat back, and we would definitely use him if we had him now. But, he's just one of a guy. They have another running back who does a real nice job.
Doug Martin.
And, like you're saying, I like their quarterback and I like their wide receiver. It's going to be very interesting.
Well, from a defensive standpoint, obviously the Ravens, I would assume, are going to look to get back to the run game, although they had the reasons for why they didn't run as much early on. But that's been their strength part, so you got to think they're going to go back to that.
Yeah, they need to stop Ramey first because you can't run the ball if they're running it on you.
Right.
So he's getting 4.7 yards per carry, only 47 carries so far, but he's tough, and Lovie Smith is going to try to bring toughness to the field. And we'll see if we can stop that run and we get them off the field, then we can attempt to run. Otherwise, you're going uphill again.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. Yeah, I'd point out Vincent Jackson is their main receiver, also Mike Evans as well. They're not completely devoid of talent there at the wide receiver position with those two guys, but Rainey is their second or third leading receiver. So, he obviously is a key part. We talked about Doug Martin. He's a between the tackles guy, but hopefully, Steve, this is a chance for our secondary to take another step forward, though.
I think the secondary will come together, and I think it's going to be interesting to see them watch it. I think the offense just has to find a rhythm. From what I've seen of Kubiak in the past, when his offenses get going, they really start striking, the rhythm rolls, and it just goes to each other. I think that's part of the way of the Indianapolis game. You were going, boom, and then you throw the ball to Steve Smith, and there's a fumble. Fumbled upon. A lot of things happen where the offense just never was able to get into a rhythm.
All right, we've got about 40 seconds. Give the breakdown of the game and your prediction.
I will say Ravens 27, Bucks 21.
All right, Bart?
Okay, I'll say Ravens 31, Bucks 17. I expect us to win the battle of the line of scrimmage, shut them down. I like to see it's a raucous Tampa Bay crowd, so get up on them early. Don't let them believe, because they think they can beat an NFC North team. I mean, an AFC North team. They think they can beat the Steelers. They're saying that in their locker room, and we need to make sure that they don't believe it for long.
All right, I'm going to go with 24-16 in this game. And hey, getting off to a fast start on the road is always key, but I do like the Ravens to be able to bounce back. Best of luck to the Ravens, folks. Thanks so much. More of the Ravens Wrap Show next week. Comcast Beach TV, ABC Channel 47, and 93.5 The Beach.
What's this all about?
We're giving Rich the NFL experience of a goal line dive.
Really?
There's an easier way to get an ultimate NFL fan experience. Just snap the tag wherever Bud Light is sold and you can win. Bud Light in the NFL. Here we go.
Can I make it?
On the internet, yes. Into the end zone, no.
Come see us at Blue Ox.
JC Tickets provides first-class trips to Ravens road games, including airfare, 4-star hotels, game tickets, and cocktail parties. We also help provide great seating locations to all Ravens home games. JC Tickets, where the games begin. Visit us at jctickets.net.